Hello friends, in today's video, we will take a quick look at one of the biggest empires to have existed across the Indian mainland, the Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan Empire was a geographically extensive Iron Age historical power based in Magad, ancient India. Founded in 322 BCE by its king Chandragupta Maurya, the empire was the largest to have ever existed in the Indian subcontinent, spanning over 5 million square kilometers at its zenith under Ashoka the Great. The capital of the Mauryan Empire was Patliputra, which is modern-day Patna. History of the Mauryan Empire. The foundation of the Mauryan Empire, which ruled for 137 years, was a unique incident in history, given the fact that it was found shortly after the death of Alexander the Great, who led many victorious campaigns in northwest India during 327 BC to 325 BC. The founding of the dynasty. As described earlier, the Mauryan dynasty was established by Chandragupta Maurya, who with the help of his most trusted advisor and counselor Chanakya overthrew the Nanda dynasty and built one of the largest empires ever on the Indian subcontinent. Conquest of Magad. Even though Chandragupta's rise to power is shrouded in mystery and controversy, historians believe that it was Chanakya, or popularly known as Kautilya, who provoked Chandragupta to take over the throne of Magad. According to various historical legends, Chanakya was insulted by Dhanananda, the ruler of Magad, a kingdom that was large and its military was powerful and feared by its neighbors. Chanakya then and there swore to destroy the whole kingdom. In order to take revenge from Nanda king, he used his intelligence and along with Chandragupta gathered many young men from across Magad and other provinces. Men who were upset over the corrupt and oppressive rule of their king all helped him, plus they were able to acquire the necessary resources for his army to fight a long series of battles. Mauryans, while preparing to invade Patliputra, came up with a strategy. A battle was announced where the Magad army was drawn from the city to a battlefield to engage with the Mauryans' forces. Meanwhile, Mauryans' general bribed the corrupt general of Nanda. Chandragupta's army even managed to create an atmosphere of civil war in the kingdom, which led to the death of the heir to the throne. Ultimately, Nanda resigned, handing power to Chandragupta, and went into exile. Chanakya contacted the Prime Minister Rakshasa and convinced him that his loyalty was to Magad, not to Nanda dynasty, and that he should remain in the office. Finally, the first king of the Mauryan dynasty, Chandragupta Maurya, became the emperor. Chandragupta Maurya became the first emperor to unify India into one state, creating one of the world's largest empires in its time and the largest ever in the Indian subcontinent. Chandragupta Maurya. The classical Greek writers describe Chandragupta Maurya as a man of humble origin but do not mention his exact caste. He was born orphaned and abandoned, raised as a son by another pastoral family, was recognized and taught by Chanakya. Chanakya was a Hindu Brahmin, the author of Arthashastra. Chandragupta at the end of his life renounced everything and became a Jain monk. The reign of Chandragupta, as well as the dynasty which followed him, was an era of economic prosperity, reforms and expansion of infrastructures such as irrigation, roads and mines. Many religions thrived in India during his rule, with Buddhism, Jainism and Ajivika gaining prominence along with the Brahmanism. Bindusar. Bindusar was just 22 years old when his father Chandragupta stepped down from the throne. He extended the vast empire which he inherited from his father to South India as far as what is now known as Karnataka. Bindusar maintained friendly relations with Hellenic West established by his father and brought 16 new states under the Mauryan Empire. He almost conquered the entire Indian peninsula and was popularly known as the king who conquered the land between the two seas. Bindusar reigned for 28 years and died in the 270s BCE. Ashoka the Great. Bindusar after his death was succeeded by his son Ashoka the Great. As a young prince, Ashok was a magnificent commander who crushed revolts in Ujjain and Takshashila and was given the charge of viceroyship of Ujjain. He was an aggressive and ambitious monarch who reasserted the empire's superiority in southern and western parts of India. In regards to Ashoka's accession to the throne, there is a general agreement in the sources that Ashoka was not the crown prince but succeeded after killing his brothers. The pivotal event of his life came when he conquered Kalinga in 261 BCE. Kalinga controlled the routes to South India both by land and sea, and it was therefore necessary that it should become a part of the modern empire. Even though Ashoka's army succeeded in overwhelming forces and civilian units in order to build a fortification, an estimated 1 lakh soldiers and civilians were killed in the furious warfare. Ashoka, when personally witnessed the devastation, his heart was filled with remorse and guilt. Affected by so much destruction, Ashoka embraced Buddhism and renounced war and violence. After that, Ashoka implemented principle of ahimsa by banning hunting and violent sports activity and ending forced labor. While he maintained a large and powerful army to keep the peace and maintained authority, Ashoka expanded friendly relations with the states across Asia and Europe and sponsored Buddhist mission. Perhaps one of the greatest known accomplishments of Ashoka was the creation of his edicts, which were erected between 269 BCE and 232 BCE. Ranging from as far west as Afghanistan and as far south as Andhra, Ashoka's edicts state his policies and accomplishments. Over 40 years of peace, harmony, and prosperity made Ashoka one of the most successful and famous monarchs in Indian history. He remains an idealized figure of inspiration in modern India. Declination. Ashoka's grip over the imperial organization became weak, and the Mauryan began to decline with the death of him in 232 BC. Ashoka's death was followed by the division of empire into western and eastern halves and 50 years of succession of weaker kings. His firstborn Mahendra went on to spread Buddhism across the world. His other son Kunal Maurya was blind and hence he couldn't ascend the throne. And his third son Kaurvaki died even earlier than Ashoka. The Mauryans slowly started losing all their territories, and finally in 180 BCE, the last king Brihadratha was killed by his general Pushyamitra Shunga in a military parade without any heir. And with this, the great Mauryan empire declined, giving rise to Shunga Empire.